Welcome back to last 100 yards, and let's kickstart the game. The GIs won the initiative, and yeah, on the intro video I pointed where the pencil is pointing to be the southeast. Is not. Southeast is there. Okay, so the Americans were, according to the story, they were camping to the southeast of Zweifel. So Zweifel is somewhere around there, in that direction, and Aachen as well to that direction. So basically we are moving kind of north and trying to swing around, see what the Germans are up to. So last 100 yards sequence of play. We did the initiative. Now we're going to make the activation phase. How this works is the active player, which is the one that won the initiative, chooses one platoon to activate. Actually, he can activate more than one platoon. If he makes a roll and gets 8 or plus, which the Americans going to do. They got a 7, so they can only activate one platoon. With activating a platoon, they can move anything they want, right? They can move anything they want, 3 movement points or 2 squares. I know it's hexagons, let's call them squares. Or they just don't do anything and stay where they are. But what we're going to do is we're going to activate 3rd platoon under Phillips. What they're going to do is they will keep moving down the road. The road, if it's vehicles, it counts only as 1 because they are on the road. As infantry, it still counts with the terrain that is in the road. So here is forest, the lighter shades is woods. For example, F7 is open ground. The player that doesn't have the initiative has the reaction. So Americans now have the activation, the Germans have the reactions. The Germans can react pretty much in the same way, albeit differently from what the Americans are, how the Americans are activating, as long as they have line of sight the units the Americans activated. It's not so linear. Imagine you are a foot soldier in one of these units. You may not have a complete knowledge that there is a unit, for example, somewhere in the woods, but you know they are there, right? You, for a split second, you saw a helmet moving in the woods, or you saw some silhouettes and everything. And you notice they are enemies, but the next split second you don't see them, but you know they are there. So that's why line of sight is important, because you have those seconds, and that's where the timeline comes in, right? Because all of this can be just 2 minutes. So you have that second where you see them, you grab your rifle, you get ready, and the next second they all disappear from sight, and you stay there kind of not knowing exactly what to do next. You may lay fire, or you may try to withdraw a bit, or if you have your commander with you, will tell you, let's assault them. But we will see that as the game progresses. So Americans going to activate 3rd, and what they're gonna do is they'll move down the road. So it's 1.5 plus 1, that's 2.5 movement points, and they are done. We're gonna do the same with the 3rd. So They are activated. I'm gonna turn them 90 degrees just to know. Or I can put a counter. Let me grab that they did something, right? So I can just put a counter there to show they did something. Now, American player calls for reaction of the German player. The German player can react in several ways. He doesn't have line of sight. None of his units have line of sight. This scenario says that the height is one, but all the heights are doubled, so this should be a 2. Maybe it has line of sight actually. No, it doesn't, because they are on 2 with a 2 in front. So they won't be able to see here, and everyone else is on level 0. And the woods are level 1. Let me check the terrain really quick, but I think it's okay. Woods, which is the lighter shades, are there. It's height 1, and forest is height 2. So even if we are in height 2, this forest will cover us. Given we have the commander with our 3rd platoon here, we could also activate any of the others, use them for reaction, or I can wait for the Americans to do something. But I can still move 1 square or use 2 movement points. In this situation, only 3rd platoon can, for example, have the option to move. They are not on the open, but they are on the road, in the road, and they are with their platoon leader. So what they're gonna do, and they're gonna move 1. I'm gonna do it thinking Rolf is moving forward. Actually, you know what? The entire 3rd platoon moves forward. Should we put that they moved? Yeah, we should. Right, 3rd platoon moved forward. What happens is now the German player says, well, my reaction ended. Do you want to react to my reaction? And the American player says, well, can't really see anyone, any of you. And why should I use my optional maneuvering with my leaders if I have the initiative? So I won't react. And he passes back to the German player. German player says, well, at the moment not going to react with anything else. So the reaction phase ends and passes back to the activation. And what happens is, now Jones decides, because he hears them screaming in the front, that if you see like 20 meters, 30 meters, 50 meters away, he hears screams that there's enemy in front. So what they're going to do is they're going to advance into contact. But it's going to advance opening the flank, right? Spreading out, starting to make this beautiful GI line, right? So they make a wall where then the Jackson and heavy weapon element can advance, try to punch through, or see if they can set up in the hill, or go around the flank. All right, GI tactics are well coordinated at the moment. So, and now it's back to the German player if he wants to react. Actually, German player reacts. Lang hears Rolf screaming there's enemies in front, and he makes his move. Only him can move from the second platoon. These units are not in the open nor in the road. They are adjacent to the leader, but they are not in the road nor the open. So they can only react by fire, but they can withdraw. But they will stay where they are. Now he passes the reaction. Actually, Heinz will also react and moves forward. Because at the moment, there will be no more shooting, right? It's what the German player can see. So why stay and delay? Move everyone forward as much as he can. He still has some reserves on the flanks, so he passes the reaction back to the American player. The American player says, well, don't want to react, so passes back to the German player doesn't want to react anymore, passes, and so it's another activation phase for the American player. American player decides that he's going to try to flank around. There's a lot of woods. 1, 2, yeah. Well, it would be 2.5. So he will use the second platoon and also activate the machine gun. 1.5, 2. So they both move. And the German player can react. Well, German player can't react with anything because has no line of sight. Even if these units are next to the leaders, second platoon already reacted, first platoon already reacted, and even if they wanted to do optional because they were next to the leader, they can't because they are in woods and not in the open and not in the road. These ones are in woods but in the road. So that's the end of the cycle, and we have to roll for how much time has passed. So what happens is I'll use green because the Americans are having the initiative and they will roll for the time lapse. And it's a 6. 4 minutes have passed. 1, 2, 3. 4 minutes. And now we roll again for initiative. As before, green for the Americans, black for the Germans. Whoa, there's a 10. Germans win the initiative, but there are some consequences with the 10. Let's go through them. If a player's unmodified initiative die roll is equal to a 10, he must make a subsequent die roll on the fate table. So let's do it. It was a 4. And the 4 reads recover. Recover all disrupted, regrouping and shocked units in any single X. We have none of that, so the initiative passes to the Germans. And we go back to the battlefield. Now it's different. Now it's the Germans that have the initiative, and as we see, their active reactions were actually good, and thinking in advance what they would do this turn, because commander must seize the initiative, but more than that, he must seize position and they must control the ground. It's nice to have the initiative because it gives you more liberty of movement to a point, but being a reactive player, being the reactive commander, it's not bad, right? So, with the Germans having the initiative, now the shooting starts. Rolf is going actually to be a bit daring here. He's going to assault. Actually, he might leave I was going to activate 3rd platoon anyways. But he's going to assault with 2 squads. Phillips can only react by standing his ground. He can withdraw, and I'm thinking if he does it, and we're going to try to even the odds here. So we moved in, or they can shoot actually. They're gonna shoot there. I was doing the reaction, but yeah, we're gonna fire. Okay, let's check the fire, how this works. So we have a basic of 1 modifiers. So we have a 10, and our range is 1, 2. So 1 to 3 squares away, there's no modifier. And the enemy is on the open, so there's no other modifier at all. Is it a concealed target? No, it's not. So we have a 1. And given, but for the sake of the game, we're gonna do if I make any mistakes, point them out. Now the reaction of the 2nd squad, remember I kind of messed up this a bit. Didn't mess up, but didn't make it correctly. It's going to also fire, but that unit is inside woods, so it's a -1. So we have a 1, we are at 8, 1, 2, it's also 0, -1 for the woods becomes a 0. So 3rd platoon activated everything. Now I'm in the Germans. What did the Germans do? Rolf and part of the 3rd platoon assaulted, and 1st squad fired onto that enemy. The Americans reacted with the 3rd platoon and the Phillips by reinforcing the assaulted position, and by opening fire. We have an activation done. We have all counters placed for the firing. Now we're going to calculate the assault. Alright, so how is the assault calculated? Simple. Okay, highest cohesion level. It's 7 in the Germans, it's 6 for the Americans. So the Germans are winning by 1. Now, assault values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Americans have 2, 5, 6. So it goes to 0. So it can go both ways. Let's just leave it like there. Alright, so now the American that has reacted, do you want to react? And the German player says no. So it's, do you want to? No. So it's back to the German player to activate something. And is going to. By the way, firing, you can fire. The bullets just go through. You don't hit your friends. If I move there, those guys want to fire here. There's no problem. It's a continuous real-time combat. Germans going to activate 2nd platoon. They're going to open the right flank. They see a gap there. Basically, Rolf made signal to Lang to go right, go right. 1, 2. Yeah. Second platoon makes their move. Now the Americans can react only. We can't react with anything. Let's put the move. Counters. Alright. So reaction back to the Germans. Germans don't want to react. Back to the Americans. No reaction. Activation for the Germans. What the Germans gonna do is go up the hill. Let me put them 90 degrees. And now we have a 2. Now this is where the line of sight is interesting. These guys can't see them. I am pretty sure. This is one of the most important tables in the game. The blind X table. So let's see. If Heinz see them, they might be able to see Heinz. We have pretty much a 1. No, they can't see because we are at 2. The intervening X is the level of difference between the highest and the block. So we are at 2 height. This one is 1 height. Okay. Number of X is from the highest to the intervening. Yeah. It gets blocked there. Because the difference is only 1. So the max I would see is up to the blocking. So they don't see them. They don't see them. They don't see anyone else. So there's no more reactions from the Americans. I will turn them 90 degrees. And we go to the fighting phase. Alright? So everything is at the same time. Let's resolve first it's the activation player that decides in which order, but everything is at the same time. So let's resolve the fire there. And it has a +1 in regards to cohesion level. So it's a 9. A 9 means they lost cohesion, and now the German player is also being affected there. It's a 2, so it doesn't really affect anyone. So lots of firing going on. Now the assault. The assault has a result table of its own directly. It's not by comparing result. It's 8. Defender must retreat, and each retreating non-vehicular unit must conduct a cohesion check. And we have to check for leader loss. Alright. Let's take this out. Check for cohesion. It's the highest. Each retreating. So we must retreat. Retreat is 2 or 4. I'm going to retreat 2. I'm going to check for the cohesion. So squad number 1, it's a 9. They lost cohesion. Number 3, they are okay. And for Phillips, it's a 7. Okay, so now both sides check for leader loss. Both are okay. Leader losses are on 1s or 10s. These are disrupted, and we have to put on the non-disrupted regroup. Same there. All right, cleanup phase. Everyone gets back to their positions. And again, if you see any mistakes on the rules, please do tell that I did it wrong. So now we have to roll to see how much time has passed. We go back to our tracker. And as it was the Germans, they will roll. It's a 10, 5 minutes. All this firing back and forth. 1, 2, we run 4. So 5 minutes passed while we assaulted and all that. And now we have to roll for initiative again. But catch you in the next episode for that. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Point out any mistakes I did so I can learn and everyone else can learn. And see you soon enough. Cheers.